pole and led for 221 laps. Chris Bell ran second, Ryan Blaney third. Stanley Cup playoffs Sunday, the Stars beat the Jets 5-2. Dallas scored 3 times in the third period to seal the win. Mikko Rantanen had a goal and 2 assists. Dallas up 2-1 in the series. Game 4 is Tuesday night in Dallas. The Panthers shut out the Maple Leafs 2-0. 23 saves for Sergei Bobrovsky. Carter Verhaeghe scored on the power play late in the first period. That was the only goal that Florida needed. Sam Bennett added one in the third. The defending Stanley Cup champs able to knot the series at 2-2. Game 5 in Toronto on Wednesday night. Tonight, Capitals at Hurricanes. Carolina up 2-1. Edmonton home tonight against Vegas. The Golden Knights trail the series 2-1. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
You don't have to sink a 30-footer from the end of your driveway to come out of the NBA playoffs smelling like a rose. SportsGrid brings you all the angles, insights, and odds.
And more to make you a winner.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the 2 best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
Best of every day now officially underway. It's the SportsGrid Network. We're Donnie Rightside and Kevin Walsh. Moneyline in the building, in the house, and away we go. The topic's just too much for today. Feels like Kevin and I haven't worked in 2 weeks at this point right now. A lot of catching up to do. You got ping pong balls tonight. You got NBA action. You got Major League Baseball action. You got NFL news and notes dropping like bombs on a Monday morning here, Kevin.
You were out on assignment, huh? How was the studio treating you? Big time now.
Woo! What happened? What,
you were out on assignment.
Yeah, come on now. Yep.
You know, it's funny. It's funny how the the description changes when you were missing radio shows instead of Kevin hasn't been here in a month to it's like we haven't seen each other in a while, pal. Yeah. It's a different
tone. Were you holding
tone.
it down? Were you having fun? I mean, how did it go on the solo missions?
Yeah, it's essentially exactly the way you do it, except instead of baseball, it was basketball.
Were the people happy? Were the picks good? What were you doing over there?
I was having a great time. I don't know.
Ripping and running. All right, let's look. The topics, we're going to talk NBA action tonight. We're going to talk the Knicks, season over. We're going to talk the Cavaliers season over. We're going to talk the Warriors season over and have fun with that. But Kevin, the NFL said, you know what? It's time to line up the opening day for the football season, September the 4th, which I'm pretty sure we will be in studio for. It's the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. I see it right away, and I get excited because why? Football's so close right now, you can almost taste it. We're just about midway through March, then it's June, July, and you know the way we go. I love it. I'm excited. I can't wait for it to happen. But I think the NFL missed a little bit on that, Kevin. Remember when we got arguments and people in Detroit, I think, were very angry with us? Was it the Lions and the Chiefs? There could have been more marquee matchups. Now, it was a good game. We all watch. Of course it will be. The Eagles and the Cowboys is a separate entity for the NFL that they can put anywhere at any time they want and people will watch. Monday Night Football game, Sunday Night Football game, and the way it is. I do get a kick out of that. It's the Eagles and Dallas on open night, which I'll get to in just a few moments. But I thought the perfect spot would have been, because here's what you like from last season. Yeah, the Eagles won the championship. They get the home game. But the smoke was coming from Detroit like, man, Eagles don't want no part of us. We get them in our own building. We are going to smoke that team. Ben Johnson, and we'll take you into the deep waters and rip your knees out. There's no way you can win here, and they weren't even good enough to beat Washington. Same way that a couple previous years, like, man, remember like the Minnesota Miracle with the New Orleans Saints? Like, man, we would have wasted the Eagles if we got a chance to play them. Oh, really? Mm-hmm. You couldn't even beat Minnesota, but you would have beat the Philadelphia Eagles, who beat the Minnesota Vikings by 1,000,000 points in that game. Do you love the Eagles-Cowboys game, which, again, it's hard to say you don't love it, but I thought the NFL could have had a better opportunity there, Kevin. I do.
I actually think the Dallas one is a little more interesting because if you get the Eagles-Lions, right, the thought, Donnie, is, wow, the winner could have a real Super Bowl season. The loser's 0-1, barely lost football games last year. What does this mean? But with Eagles-Cowboys, the Cowboys could go to division favorites if they pull off the upset in week number 1. Like, that's how much movement you could get. You and I both, I know at least kind of the far out takes are Dallas will surprise people, right? Win total 7.5. People think that they're going to have, no chance at making the postseason. I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. I don't think it needed to be Detroit. I think for like, there's more from just an Eagle fan perspective. It's now more like, okay, let's get it going. This has got to be a victory when you're playing the Dallas Cowboys in week number 1.
It does. And like last year, the Eagles opened up their season in Brazil, which a couple of these international games are also coming out now. But the thing I think I really like about this, not from a national perspective, because again, we'll watch anything on the open night of the National Football League with the Super Bowl champion. They always give you a good opponent, and they did in the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. But having like the Cowboys not winning a damn thing since the mid-1990s, like just sort of like I call it like deviousness by the NFL. It's like, we know the Cowboys are the big dog in the NFL. They're going to go to their rival, who just won another Super Bowl championship, second one since 2017. You can't get there. They're going to parade this trophy in front of your face, drop a banner, and the stadium is going to chant repeatedly, Dallas sucks, for an hour before that game starts. I do think it's hilarious. And also, Kevin, seeing the opening numbers, like DraftKings opened up at 7, FanDuel at 6.5. Heavy favorites for the Birds opening night.
Yeah, but come on, there's no world where if you can grab a 7 on Dallas, you're not grabbing a 7 on Dallas come game number 1. I think it's also for the league, how much Dallas are you going in terms of prime time? Because the thing with the Cowboys is it's not the Cowboys get flipped on Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday nights like 18 times a season. It's that Dallas gets the 4:25 game every single week on Fox.
Yeah.
But if you are, again, you're NBC, you go, you know what? Week 1 Dallas is a valuable commodity. We don't know what week 13 Dallas is going to be, right? Maybe you and I are wrong, or, we'll see what the perception is when we get closer. But getting week 1 Dallas, Dak Prescott, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, brand new head coach, that's a far more, let's be clear, that is a far more valuable commodity than the Detroit Lions. So I guess here we are once again bashing the Lions when it comes to week 1. But Dallas is the first overall draft pick, if you're being honest.
Yeah, it's a good one here. And it's again, it just already lights that fire. Like, football is right around the corner. First time, I think, in the history of the NFL, we have preseason games that'll take place in the month of July. Once you get past this slope here, like the rookies are headed to camp now, the rookie camps, and you have the OTAs, and then all of a sudden you'll bleed right into training camp. So we are getting close here, and we will be in that chair on that Thursday night watching Eagles football. Now, do we have did they announce the Brazil game on the Friday or no? Because I saw a lot of games leak out. Like, I saw a Berlin-Germany game here. Do we know the two contestants?
Is it in Brazil 100%?
I don't know. I don't know. I thought there was a Brazil game every year. No, I could be wrong.
I don't. I would imagine they now want that Friday slot, right? They want to
have to be somewhere.
Game slate on. So they're going to announce all of them on Tuesday.
The international
what
games?
I understand.
Yeah, there's a couple of that leaked out, which again.
Chargers.
Yes. Was it the Chargers?
The Chargers are in Brazil. It just says. Yeah. I don't know if it's known who they're playing. So
good. So we're in Brazil again that Friday night. There's too many of these. It's just too many of these. By the way,
it's a lot.
Hot topic here. Should we just have the international games played on a Friday night now for good?
No, so there's a take.
Football game. Let's go.
No. We don't need to do this. There's a take out there. There's a take out there. I don't understand the full scope of it, but it's a Nick Wright take of just the NFL should just have an international week, and to try and just like stop mixing these all up. Like Donnie, middle of the season.
Yeah,
like,
you know what?
There's a game Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's international week of the NFL season. Again, it's his thing. He's like been talking about it forever. But here's what I'll tell the people. Right, as somebody who picked the Eagles to win the Super Bowl last year.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure in week number 1, not because you got to beat the Packers, but because coming back from Brazil week 2, I thought was going to be tricky. And if your memory serves, the Philadelphia Eagles did lose week number 2. Now, they should have never lost, but you look at the Falcons season, you look at the Eagles season, if everything was level, the Eagles would have absolutely thrown that team into the stands by halftime.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure, Donnie, when you have to play, because you're not going to have a week 2 bye. So when you have to play a week 1 international game, that's tough.
It is. And also, hey, guys, put turf down there in Brazil next year. It's easy. You spend a couple dollars, get that grass up so it's an ice skating rink, and get some turf down there so we can handicap that game. That's what we do on a Monday. It's Moneyline. We'll be right back.
Boys of summer have returned and taken the field for the great American pastime.
You should monetize that.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Wendy's. At least 10 people in the U.S. have been sickened in a listeria outbreak linked to ready-to-eat food products, and a producer is voluntarily recalling several products. The FDA said Saturday that federal, state, and local officials are investigating the outbreak linked to foods produced by Fresh and Ready Foods of San Fernando, California. The FDA says the 10 people who fell ill were in California and Nevada and required hospitalization. Columbia University has suspended dozens of students and Bard alums and others who participated in a pro-Palestinian demonstration inside the school's main library last week. The Ivy League institution in Manhattan placed more than 65 students on interim suspension and barred 33 others, including those from affiliated institutions such as Barnard College, from setting foot on campus. The university declined to say how long the disciplinary measure would be in place, saying only that the decisions are pending further investigation. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the lake or clean out your closet? RV wins! Putting the dishes away or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Cleaning the fridge or taking a trip to the beach? RV wins!
You might want to clean the fridge real quick because, mold.
We clean out the fridge, then take the RV out.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available.
You don't have to sink a 30-footer from the end of your driveway to come out of the NBA playoffs smelling like a rose. SportsGrid brings you all the angles, insights, and odds.
And more to make you a winner.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Much going on. NFL, look at that. Let's make this. Well, the NFL is starting to take control this week at this point, but also taking control tonight, Kevin. One team is going to get Cooper flagged tonight. And we talked about it on the early line this morning, and it's saying, like isn't this a shame? Like, you could here's how the picks are going to end up over the past 3 years, Kevin. You get Victor Wembanyama, Zachary Reese-Shea, or you get Cooper flagged. Like, imagine getting the number 1 pick, and it's like, okay, yeah, we got the number 1 pick, and one of those 3, like, I'll take my chances. Okay, pull out the straws, up, short straw. We got Reese-Shea. You know what I mean? Like, don't you just feel bad for, like, the fan base? Like we finally get the number 1 pick, and it's Reese-Shea, and, like, it's right between, like, bookend, like, maybe career dominant players?
I think it's very tough because really, when you get the first overall draft pick, you are supposed to feel as if you are getting this like bona fide star.
Can't miss superstar.
Ricochet had a good like March, April, and people were like, they might have got the pick right. And it's like, it still doesn't really even save it. Like, that's the problem. Like, that's not actually gonna make you feel any better about this because you didn't get what you know people thought was this cannot miss superstar. And like the Spurs ended up drafting Steph Castle. He won Rookie of the Year, and people are like, that's a nice piece to be a part of a Giannis package. Like, it's not like, hey, would you trade Castle for Giannis? It's like, no, it's not even. It's like, that's irrelevant. It's, will you trade everything to get Giannis to San Antonio?
Yeah, by the way, we're going to get to that Giannis news here because I love how Sham's like, yeah, look, sources are telling us Giannis might be open to leaving. Great breaking story that you have to lead ESPN with, which is kind of funny. Be like, he might be interested in getting out of town. Like, we didn't know that. But did you hear the news that got tweeted? This is maybe 10 minutes old on the NBA on NBC, Kevin, which I hit the retweet. Now,
go ahead.
People, it's hard to explain the phenomenon of Michael Jordan, how unbelievably he was in the non-social media era when he was the NBA, it felt like, for 15 years. An unbelievable basketball player, but you never really got to know his personal life. Every city, new woman there, gambled all over the place, got in trouble, but the NBA did a very good job back in the day to keep all that down. He understood as a businessman. His famous quote, Kevin, is like, hey, man, why don't you dip into like politics? Is, hey, man, Republicans buy sneaks too. Smartest decision ever. Stay out of politics, make a ton of money, live your life, and relax. But we don't hear a lot from Michael Jordan. Like, you're talking about, Kevin, if you want to say the single best athlete maybe in the history of sports, Michael Jordan would be in that conversation. Don't you feel like, and again, I know he has more money than God, the Nike deals, and he owns teams. He's never in the public spotlight, which means, hey, Mike, it's the NBA Finals. Can we get you on for 5 or 6 minutes and talk? He's never there. So I equate this because when people retire, like, and I tweeted out Emmitt Smith, and ESPN is like, that's a guy we need right away on our network. He was so bad that I think he lasted only a couple weeks on ESPN. Maybe just the one season that he was supposed to be there, never came back. Jerry Rice, same thing. The single best wide receiver to ever play football. Put him on a set, he was horrendous. Doesn't do that anymore at this point. So I look at Michael Jordan, which people are like, oh my goodness, it's going back to NBC, Jordan, 90s, NBC. I think he's going to be terrible, Kevin. How about that? I'm not hating on Jordan. I'm not picking a side here at this point. But I don't think he's going to add what you think he's going to add. Like, remember Tom Brady comes right off the football field, put him in the booth. Take some time, but he's a little bit more personal and affable and has been on social media for a long time. Like, what is Jordan in the booth going to do? Like, let's just say he sits down with NBC and it's like a roundtable panel. Is it 4 guys that are just like, tooting his horn? Oh, Mike, so great to have. Or is it like real competitive talk where he just doesn't take the angle like, I hate everybody. I was so much better than these guys, and I'm going to tell you about it. It feels like that's the path he's going to go.
Well, so this is the thing that's confusing to me, right? It says as a special contributor.
Yes.
Now, that almost already seems like they know we are not going to guarantee you anything because we just got Mike to agree to show up twice.
Correct.
So we don't know if he's any good, but we're giving this our best. So we got Michael Jordan. Amazing. Is Michael, so he's not going to call. Now, maybe they'll say, hey, Mike, do you want to call games? Right?
Oh, no way.
If he says yes, they'll give him a try. But I agree with you. He won't say yes. All right, Mike, do you want to be like Charles and Shaq? Do you want to sit in the studio? He'll probably turn that down. He probably has already turned that down. So what, again, special contributor is Mike going to do voiceover work? Probably, right? That's probably a safe bet. Like he'll voice some packages. Opening night, Donnie, on NBC next year. That intro that they play, MJ will be the voice of. Maybe a couple sit-down interviews, if he can bear to handle that. Whether he's giving the interview or being interviewed, I don't know. I don't know which one, but there'll probably be some Michael interviews. You may never actually see him on that desk, Donnie, at NBC.
It's a good point that you look at as a special contributor because immediately you think like Jordan's on there, which means like he would be part of like the Sunday panel. Like, big game of the week. Hey, Mike, we got you in the talk.
Yeah.
But that's not, he's older. Like, he didn't just retire like 5 years ago. I didn't want to decompress, do do some things, go on vacation. Now I'm ready to get back into basketball. When most people retire, they go right into podcasting or TV studio, and that's where you make an extended amount of money for a long time. Jordan's never needed that before. So it's funny that you bring up that he will be a special contributor. Like the interviews, like, is this one of those, like, yeah, I'll be on NBC, and every Sunday, you film an interview with me to start the season. Just chop it up over the next 6 weeks. Special, like Ahmad Rashad's going to talk how great Jordan was in 1994. And like, yeah, you know what? I like that. Put that on the thing. But that's not what we want to hear. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear Michael Jordan sit in a halftime show and be like, that kid sucks. I don't know who taught him to play basketball, but that's not what he's going to do.
The funny bit of it all is, right, like there's a part of your brain because of Charles and Shaq and the fact that neither one of them know anything about basketball.
He's got to get on that.
No, but listen to me, Donnie. Your brain probably is like, ooh, does Michael even know anything about the NBA? Michael was running a basketball team 3 years ago? No, but like Michael should know so much. And yet, because of the current guys doing that job, I guarantee you the assumption for so many people is Michael doesn't even watch the league.
Correct. I don't think he does. I think he takes it as a slight. And I'm telling you, especially, this is so good. Like, this is going to get the fanboys all excited. And they're like, what happened to Jordan? We got to talk to him around the All-Star break, and he voiced over, this is the NBA on NBC. Thanks, guys. We'll be right back.
SportsGrid. Stamping out the boredom in baseball year after year. We bring you all the angles, insights, and information you need. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1970, Ernie Banks hits home run number 500.
That's a fly ball, deep to left, back, that's it, hey, he did it!
Known as Mr. Cub, Banks finished his career with 512 dingers during his 19 years on the north side of Chicago. Banks won 2 MVP awards and was elected to the Hall of Fame. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
New artificial intelligence research at the Institute of Science Tokyo intends to revolutionize the creation of perfume.
A sweet smell of petunias.
AI programmed with mass spectrometer profiles of essential oils rapidly creates new scents.
Subtle hints of desperation eau de toilette.
With user-defined odor descriptors.
Slightly burnt toast cologne.
Eliminating trial and error.
The clean woody scent of my laundry basket.
AI streamlining labor-intensive specialized perfuming means scalable production and unique fragrances.
I call it eau de sweaty tapeworm.
Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage Tonight.
What do you think about the Cavs and the Pacers right now? The Cavs got injury problems. The Pacers are up 2-0. We might be looking at a Pacers-Knicks conference final, bro.
Oh, baby. Okay, shades of Dale Davis and
Reggie
Rick
Miller. Old school.
Okay. I'm rooting for the Pacers right now.
It's Sports Rage Tonight with Gabe Morency. Weekdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. In baseball, a batter gets 3 strikes. In sports gaming, you get 1. No do-overs. You need all the help you can get. And that's what you get with us, your trusted source for gaming odds and more. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
We're going to get to the NBA action a little bit, and I should say just a little bit, but I did want to talk about this too because Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I went back and forth, and this is a long time ago, with Bucks fans, like years ago, where my whole outset was I didn't think that the Bucks would be able to win a championship. And they did with Giannis. One of the best, runs you'll see if you want to get lucky. Every good team lost. Every team they play got injured. They won a championship. Can't take it away. They even had an NBA Finals game where, was the NBA Finals where, like, the COVID?
Thanasis? Yeah.
Yeah, with Thanasis had COVID, and they're the best friends, but they didn't hang out in, like, 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff like that. But my whole premise was I didn't think Giannis before that signed an extension because, my angle is nobody ever wants to be in Milwaukee. Well, Dame proved that by going I didn't want to go here. There's nothing to do here, and look at how it turned out. But now Giannis starting to open up to the idea that he might want to move on. Again, Shams Charania, breaking news, ESPN. That's not breaking news where a guy might be looking at somewhere else. You could do that about every NBA player in every single city, whether Steph. Hey, you know what? I'm getting up there in years. Maybe it's time. LeBron, you can do it with him in Los Angeles. You can do it with Kevin Durant, which is probably going to move on out there in Phoenix. But the reason I bring this up is from a Giannis perspective, and for the people out there that think it might be like the NFL, where it's like the Bengals be like, if Giannis played for the Bengals, he'd be like, good, sit in mothballs for 7 years. I don't care if you play or not. I won't pay. You'll rot. You'll play for me or not. But as we know in the NBA, the superstars rule. Like if Giannis goes, I want to leave, the Bucks go, man, all right, well, let's find a spot for you to go, and we can't keep you here unhappy because that doesn't work in the NBA. But Giannis leave, he has to leave though, Kevin, doesn't he? Like if you look at the structure of the Bucks, the contracts that they have, and the rest of the league, he's never winning another championship in Milwaukee, let alone, I don't know if they'll be competitive enough to do that. So for him leaving, I think makes some sense. And what you get back, who knows? But do you have that same agreements where it's more likely that Giannis will leave next year than stay in Milwaukee?
Yeah, I think to really try and drive it home, the Damian Lillard injury to me shifted the situation from where, okay, Milwaukee will trade him if Giannis wants to. Milwaukee should just trade him. They will be without Lillard all of next season. We never know if Dame will come back the same. You could probably tell me Damian Lillard will come back better than before. We still do not know if the Giannis-Lillard pairing works at a high level because we've never seen it. So to say we don't know it works is probably me being generous instead of saying it flatly does not work. The only move the Bucks had this offseason, if they wanted to keep Giannis but feel different, get better, was trading Damian Lillard. That was the only pathway for them to shake that snow globe up and say, listen, maybe this will work, was to trade Dame. So for Milwaukee, Donnie, unless Giannis is like, look, I just want to retire and be here forever, and if we're bad, we're bad, and if we're great, we're great, but I'm going to go down as the greatest Milwaukee Buck of all time. Just let me be here. And okay, that can change things. But he kind of probably is like, I should probably go. The thing about Giannis, though, that is so odd is that I don't think this Brooklyn Nets stuff is nonsense, is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
You kind of get it, but it's not as if Brooklyn or New York even, as a New Yorker, is the only market in basketball. Like the fact that he's like, I don't know, I could probably get to the Nets and just be a megastar and we'll win enough. That's pretty wild to me. But it feels like but Donnie, I'm not saying I would bet on Brooklyn to be the landing spot. I'm just saying I think that if Giannis were to submit a list of teams he would like to go to, Brooklyn is actually on the list.
I guess in a way where, depending on who would team up with him and stuff, there's a lot of spots there where I think he could land. It's just like, usually it's like, okay, Giannis wants to win. Like, I'm going to Brooklyn. And also the fact
that's crazy.
Like in the NBA or the NFL, it's like, hey, man, we just traded for a franchise quarterback, gave up 2 number ones. Like you give up like 9 number ones and 16 pick swaps and 17 players, which is why I always got a kick out of. I always equated to when Carmelo Anthony was so boneheaded that he couldn't wait 3 months to join the Knicks, that he gutted the Knicks because of that trade that it went down. And, it was like, hey, I wanted to get there. There's no guarantee I would get the Knicks were playing. There's no guarantee we get him in free agency, right? Somebody was stop it. Like you could have waited just a few more months and you could have been traded there, but you wanted to get there as soon as possible. It'll be interesting to see where Giannis does go at that point, but also talking about the NBA ping pong balls tonight and where it lands. Like I did a rundown, Kevin, this morning on like the teams in the lottery. It's only one logical decision. It's the Sixers. Everybody else is a meaningless, wafting, horrendous franchise in like that top 6, top 7 area. Can't go. Goes to Washington, what a waste. Goes to Utah, what a waste. So many wasted times. It's only the Sixers, Kevin. Only the Sixers.
The NBA playoffs.
It all comes down to this.
And we'll give you all the the angles to make sure you win a little something something. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. NBA playoffs Sunday, the Pacers beat the Cavaliers 129-109 to go up 3-1 in the second round series. 21 points, 6 rebounds for Pascal Siakam. Darius Garland had 21 points and 6 assists in the loss for the Cavaliers, who came in as the top seed in the Eastern Conference. Game 5 is Tuesday night in Cleveland. The Thunder beat the Nuggets 92-87 to knot that series up at 2-2. 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Nikola Jokic with 27 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 steals for Denver. Game 5 in Oklahoma City on Tuesday night. Tonight, Celtics and Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Game 4, New York up 2-1 in the series. The Warriors host the Timberwolves in San Francisco for Game 4, Minnesota up 2-1. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Member Week is here at Lowe's. Don't miss your chance to get up to 40% off hundreds of items like paint, outdoor and home essentials, and more. Shop our exclusive deals happening in-store and online now through May 14th. Not a rewards member? Join for free today and get ready to save more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Let's keep it real. Baseball can be boring. That's where SportsGrid comes in. Nothing livens up those 9 innings like sports gaming. You might experience something you've never felt in a baseball game, a quickened pulse. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You might have spent your Mother's Day yesterday out having a nice meal with your mother, which I did. I know Kevin spent some time with the family yesterday. Maybe you're watching a couple Schwarber bombs on Sunday Night Baseball, or Aaron Judge back over 400. Baseball's been fun. You know, the weather's starting to turn now in the Northeast, 80 degrees yesterday. I thought it was the warmest Mother's Day in the past decade, so maybe the tide is starting to turn up here, get that warm air into the stadiums and have some fun. Full baseball card today. We'll be handicapping it just a little bit later. But, Kevin, the NBA, man, continues to roll. I told you, I hate the NBA regular season, but I thoroughly enjoy the playoffs, and specifically what we're getting at round number 2. If it was just paint by numbers and blowouts across the board like many expected, in some instances, including myself, but I think we're in the best version of the NBA. Like, I thought Cleveland, I wanted to root for Cleveland. Like, Cleveland is getting absolutely stomped. And the fact is, we'll start with that game, even though they don't play tonight, Kevin.
Sure.
Game number 3, I was like, wow, shot across the bow now. Cavs are back in this series. Here they come. Ooh, what a missed opportunity for the Indiana Pacers. Game number 4 showed me, Kevin, Pacers are for real. I don't care who's coming to the table for Cleveland, banged up. Most of their players are back in that lineup. The fact that they came out with business on their mind in the first and second quarter let me know that it was like, oh, no. We had such a good chance in game number 3. We got whipped on. Now, game number 4, it's no big deal. We'll go back 2-2, and we'll see what happens in the best of 3. Like, no. They came out and shut the door on Cleveland, which now, again, Donovan Mitchell, who knows if he's playing? He says he's playing. The ankle is fine. But I want to start there with Cleveland. Like, I've been enjoying teams that I didn't expect to get knocked out early. Actually might get knocked out early. The Pacers, man, great basketball.
Yeah, I am an early Pacers believer, and I think that team absolutely can win the East, while I also believe that Cleveland can still win this series. I've not agreed with the way a lot of people are I think people are rewriting history on this series in a way that I am a little frustrated by, quite frankly. Game number 1, good basketball. Pacers got it. No Garland, but that's not fully an excuse. The Pacers got him. Okay. Game number 2 was a meltdown. The Pacers, and not like we blew a 20-point Boston Celtics lead. No, like an improbable, what should be once in a lifetime, but somehow twice in 3 games, improbable comeback for the Pacers. So they stole a game. Now they're up 2-0. the game also didn't feature Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and DeAndre Hunter, and I don't think that you can just now erase missing that much from your rotation. Game 3, Cleveland, healthy, absolutely smokes the Indiana Pacers, despite shooting terribly still. And now, Game 4, they got lit on fire. And I think it is fair to say that no team that gets put in a spot where they're down 40 at half is actually going to win a championship. Like, you can't actually think you're going to win a title if you're down 40 at half, right?
In a pivotal game, too. Like, not a February, like, hey, you know what? Just didn't have it.
But overall, I look at these 4 games and I say, can Cleveland win Game 5, assuming Donovan and Garland and Mobley are on the court, Donnie, in their own building? Yeah. Absolutely. And then you get to Game 6, and here's the deal. For anybody who bets the Pacers, you'll be getting a dog price. You're going to be getting +3, +4. That's the reality of it. Now, maybe the Pacers will win that game. But I know you. If there's a Game 7, you're picking Cleveland 100%. Because I've watched those ebbs and flows. So my point, Donnie, is you're feeling right now that this series is over and that the Pacers will beat Cleveland is totally valid. It is totally valid. But Cleveland is a home win away from being 1 win away from it feeling as if they're actually going to win the series. So I just don't think it's over. The Rockets forced a Game 7 against Golden State. There's no reason Cleveland can't force a 7th game.
But here's the reason why I do think a little bit differently. If you would tell me, Kevin, going into game number 5, we're all healthy, gang's all here for Cleveland. Yeah. You know what? That pedigree for the regular season, they can get it going. But now we're starting to talk about, maybe Donovan Mitchell's a little bit banged up. Maybe that ankle gets a little swollen during that game. Already a couple banged up players that are playing excess minutes at this point, just running on adrenaline. That's what I worry about. Like when I take a look at the Knicks series and the Knicks game, which we're going to talk about now, like I don't have those same thoughts. Like I do think the Celtics are better, and I do think the Celtics win that series. What I do think from a Knicks perspective is they're fully healthy. Like there's a chance, hey, they're at home, they can win that game. Now, granted, we're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers as a better overall team than the Pacers, as opposed to the Knicks not being an overall better team than the Boston Celtics. But my theory and my feelings would be different, where I'd want to bet the Cavaliers if they were healthy, even if they just got their doors blown off in game number 4. But if I don't know we're all there and the thumbs are fired up and I don't have spring off the floor if I'm Donovan Mitchell, I'm gutting this out on adrenaline, I don't know if I can bet that. But also, they're getting as high as 8 points here, the Indiana Pacers, in that game number 5 coming up here at Cleveland. So the expectations are Mitchell's going to play, but that's really a holding pattern number. Because if the full gas is in there, Donovan Mitchell goes, I don't have any restrictions tonight, that game's 9.5. Like that game's probably close to 9.5 or 10 in game number 5.
And it's made this series really tricky, Donnie, right? Because we're dealing with injuries that, let's be clear, if it was the regular season, you would just know that these guys are out. Right. And that's but it's the postseason. So you expect them to play, but you don't know what you're exactly getting out of these guys in a given game. The fact that now the Cavs have seen 3 of their 5 starters deal with some type of injuries. I'll say, though, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but the fact that Donovan Mitchell didn't leave in a walking boot or anything, I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. What I'm saying is if it was a 5-point game, I think he was on the court.
He plays. Like Anthony Edwards.
So
right? He came back to that game. It looked like he couldn't even walk. It's one of those, that was a business decision because I know, and I'm glad you brought that point up because most people are like, oh man, didn't even play the second half. He basically got out there and was like, tell me and be serious. If you feel anything in that ankle whatsoever, we're not coming back in this game. Why would you play 5 or 6 minutes and do any more damage? Just get to the locker room and walk. So I agree with you there. There's something to the ankle injury. But if that was a game number 7, he's not walking back to the locker room like, yeah, you know what? Gave it my best. Just can't.
I don't even think if it's right. Like, I don't even think if it's a game 7. I think if they were down like 15, he might have been out there.
Yeah.
It's like we're down 41.
Yep.
Like if we score 80 points of our own in the second half, we're still going to lose this basketball game because we're down 41. So I'm not giving Cleveland credit for getting destroyed, but I will give them credit for not forcing the issue on something that was obviously never going to happen, which was them winning that game.
Bust them up at this point. So tonight, doubleheader, Kevin, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Garden, 10 p.m. Eastern, Timberwolves Warriors, 7 p.m. Eastern, the Ping Pong Bowl. So after the Ping Pong Balls fall, hopefully it's the Sixers, the Celtics, and the Knicks take the court. And the funny thing about this series was, like, game number 1 and game number 2, like, Celtics dominated. And then just said, you know what? We don't know how to play basketball for a couple minutes here, and we just blew a 20-point lead. And I was like, you know what? If the Boston Celtics just said, let's play our game and be average, the Knicks can't touch us. Well, they were above average from the three-point line, shooting 50%. But if they're 35% or higher from the three-point range, the Knicks don't have any prayer. So now the Knicks have a 2-1 series lead still. That line sits at 6.5 tonight. And I don't think the Knicks might even win another game. But again, the ebbs and flows. I didn't think the Knicks would win the first 2 games. But it also, Kevin, took historically poor performances by one team. And it wasn't like, Kevin, hey, you know what? Boston was so bad. The first quarter, Knicks up by 10 in Boston. By halftime, it was 22. By the third quarter, it was 34. Like, we blew them off the court. You needed historic performances to get lucky in overtime and another game that could have went to overtime to steal it. And then all of a sudden, the Celtics show up, play good basketball, and blast you in your own building.
I think you're absolutely spot on. What I would say, though, is right then, aren't the Knicks due to play a good game at some point in this series, Donnie? Forget winning the whole thing, right? Forget. I mean, when I say the whole thing, I mean the series, not the title.
Yeah.
But are the Knicks going to actually leave this series? If this goes 4-2 Boston, are you meaning to tell me that we're going to play a 6-game series, throw in 4 from the regular season, you're going to play this team 10 times, and all 10 of them was like, yeah, the Knicks were pretty terrible? I can't wrap my head around that.
The Garden tonight, the world's most famous arena. And the Knicks pick up a big win. Bing bong!
By the end, you might not have a ring on your finger. Stay tuned and you'll have a little something in your pocket. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Stanley Cup playoff Sunday. The Stars beat the Jets 5-2. Dallas scored 3 times in the third period to seal the win. Mikko Rantanen had a goal and 2 assists. Dallas up 2-1 in the series. Game 4 is Tuesday night in Dallas. The Panthers shut out the Maple Leafs 2-0. 23 saves for Sergei Bobrovsky. Carter Verhaeghe scored on the power play late in the first period. That was the only goal that Florida needed. Sam Bennett added 1 in the third. The defending Stanley Cup champs able to knot the series at 2-2. Game 5 in Toronto on Wednesday night. Tonight, Capitals at Hurricanes. Carolina up 2-1. Edmonton home tonight against Vegas. The Golden Knights trail the series 2-1. NASCAR Cup Series Sunday at the Kansas Speedway. Kyle Larson took the checkered flag. He started on the pole and led for 221 laps. Chris Bell ran second. Ryan Blaney third. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Wait. Skechers put the S in comfort?
Yes, comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh, wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
Duh, we told you.
Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
Ah, springtime. When a young man's fancy turns to...
Get your mind out of the gutter.
For sports gaming strategies and information that gives you an unfair advantage, you'll find it all right here.
It's the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Hey now, Minnesota Timberwolves, Golden State Warriors. Ugly game, which the Warriors had a really good chance of knocking off the Timberwolves, but I believe the price point now, Kevin, for the series like minus 900 or so as a favorite for the Timberwolves. Golden State probably not going to get Steph back. Maybe a kitchen sink game tonight with a total that opened up at 199.5, and a lot of outlets still sits at that 199.5, handle up to 200.5. T-Wolves Warriors, boring series because we don't get Steph Curry, but Kuminga look good off the bench. Jimmy Butler's there. And then they have nobody else that can help out for Golden State.
They can't score. My frustration in this series is actually in that Minnesota offensively is not able to take advantage of the Warriors, who I just don't think are positioned, who should not be positioned all that well to guard the Timberwolves in this series. I think Minnesota, assuming I'm correct and they play OKC next round, I think that they have no chance in that series whatsoever if they do get through. I actually think now the Warriors would be far more threatening to OKC, especially because that means Steph would be back. I will say this, and look, not that I was it stinks that Steph got injured, but I was then disappointed I didn't get the chance to talk to you the day after the injury because, Dr. Donnie's number one specialty is the hamstring injury.
It is. Yep.
But what I thought, Donnie, is we got something pretty rare. Like Kawhi would never. Kawhi would have been, out there warming up and then just not played the full 48 minutes. The fact, Donnie, that they came out and immediately were like, at least a week, he is out. I don't think, and this is what I've been trying to tell people. They're like, oh, don't you think Steph will be ready to go game 6? No. I don't think he plays, even if it randomly goes 6 or 7 games, which I don't necessarily think it will, but I don't think we see Steph again. I'll put it as far as this, but then again, you're the expert. Yeah. I think if they did win this series, it's on the board. He missed time in the conference finals.
Yeah, because you're looking at then the high leverage situations, as we like to say, like, okay, we can wait another 2 games. If we get down 0-2, then he comes back, but we're not going to rush it. I actually do think, Kevin, he makes an appearance in the series because of one thing. You can't really measure how much a hamstring is damaging, like from the outside. Hey, Steph, how's the hammy feel? We'll get you another MRI. Ooh, looks good. No, I feel good. I feel really good. The competitor in Steph is going to want to return to the court sooner than later because he's in the playoffs. He's getting older up there. Man, I can give you something out there and play. I do think there's a chance that he reappears, Kevin. And it's one of those, where do we have the fun with? What was it a couple years ago with the Lakers? Was it Anthony Davis? Like, dude couldn't walk. Here we go. I'm like, there's no way. And he goes out there and it's like, he can barely walk and exits that game quickly. And it's like, hey, that's what you get at this point. Because the first time, and the thing that I always like to say about the hamstring injury, if you don't ever have one before, you don't truly understand it. It's like, I sprained my ankle and I can play in like a day or two, it gets better. And you figure it's like the hamstring. I'll just take it easy and I'll manage it. You can't manage a hamstring, which you're right about. Like, he's out for tomorrow. There wasn't even any playing games. Like, okay, we're going to reevaluate him in the morning and let you know. Like, no, he's not playing. And that's what it is. We hope that he can get back for game number 6, which means that he could stand up straight. But in the NBA, Kevin, like a wide receiver, right? You go out and play and you say, all right, let me run a route. It didn't work on my favorite come out. Okay, you're one of 11 guys. But if Steph Curry's like, I think I can play major minutes here, you know what they would do to him, Kevin? They would isolate him every single play on defense and break his hamstring in half, snap it in half. And like, I can't do this because you can't hide on the basketball court. You can hide as a decoy wideout. You can't be a decoy defender out there. It just doesn't work. So for me, coming back, I do think he makes an appearance, but is insignificant the rest of the way.
That was, for anyone who does not recall the thing Donnie is referencing, that is exactly what happened to AD. And AD is a actual good defender, but he couldn't move, so Devin Booker just kept drawing him on an island. NBA defenses are occasionally dumb, and they just agree to switch everything.
Correct.
So every single possession, AD is now just like, are you even serious? Okay. And then Devin Booker was having the time of his life. And in fact, it actually allowed Devin Booker to get on a heater where that game was over at halftime. I remember it vividly. It was a sad scene, but it was the scene.
Excitement as you, a young person in this business with AD coming back and like, what was his point? Well, like they didn't give him a full one. It's like 19, 18.
Yeah, they had it low and he couldn't move whatsoever. But I actually think it's sneaky. I mean, it has to be like a top 5 Donnie take of all time.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what % do you think he's at? Because I was like, if he's playing, it's got to be like 80, right? Like I was like, he's not at 100. And you're like 25%. And surely in the moment, I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know, they wouldn't put him out there at 25. There he goes to the locker room.
Like, they put him out there at 7%.
Yeah. You were like, I think I gave him a little extra.
Man, just brutality at that point. But yeah, the NBA playoffs, like as it sets up now, it's been really fun though. Like just going over like the day-to-day schedule. And I always get upset where it's like, hey, it's a quick series and you move on. Like we're not getting that right now. Like we're getting extended series and it's great. Like we anticipate like, oh, Cavaliers probably bust up the Pacers in 5 games. Nope. Oh, the Thunder handled a gentleman's sweep against the Nuggets. Nope. Oh, look at that. The Warriors and, even with an injury, that'll be quick. Nope. Still 2-1 right there. And then the Knicks and the Celtics. Just get me to the Celtics Cavaliers, which is what I was saying. We might not even get either one of those teams in the Eastern Conference Finals, which again, once the Eastern Conference Finals gets here, it's like, man, that Cavs-Celtics series, both teams healthy, would have really hit, and you get, Pacers, Knicks. It's like, oof, tough scene, but the way it is, but I've been enjoying it, so it is what it is.
Yeah, no, look, it's been fun. I'll just say from yesterday, the Thunder coming back in winning that basketball game. I still think they end this series in 6. I think this series being over would make more sense than the fact that this series is 2-2 right now. I think they are way better than the Nuggets. Jokic has been terrible. And he's getting more of a pass than he should, by the way, for that.
What about Draymond? Fouling out 2 points after his tirade.
Yeah, Draymond fouling out, though, is normal. I'm sure as long as he avoided the flagrant or technical fouls, I'm sure that's really all that was
Draymond
mattered.
Is such a smart player. Like the way the NBA and the human nature operates, he's like, let me get this straight. I'm going to scream at you, ref. You're going to tee me up. And you know damn well as I do, you ain't giving me a second tech. So after the tech says, hey, I got to be like a mouse, a mouse in church and be completely silent. When you tee Draymond up, he goes 3 times overboard knowing you're not going to actually throw him out. Pretty genius as it gets in, but the way it is, the NBA. More hot topics coming up next. Ping pong balls tonight. 86ers.
We don't care what your high school girlfriend told you. You are a winner. Or at least you will be if you keep it here. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
Football full circle.
The thought that they're going to make the playoffs and actually win a playoff game. They haven't won a playoff game since 2000. That is the longest drought in the NFL, third longest in the 4 major sports. And yet the Dolphins have the longest drought in the NFL and the third longest in all the 4 major sports. That's how bad that franchise has been.
It's football full circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. If you want to be an alpha, you've got to get the winning edge. It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory with the winning edge. You're in the big leagues. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Yeah, right back at it. Ping pong balls tonight. Major League Baseball card. NBA doubleheader. What's not to like as we move into the warmer spring temperatures here into the summer months, and away we go. And I always say this too, like enjoying the second round of the playoffs with extended series. And hockey looks like they're having extended series. It's nice because it just gives us more to talk about as opposed to when we start to get to, yes, baseball will be there every day for me. I love baseball, and thank God I do. Because if I wasn't a baseball guy, I don't know how I could be in this business. Like, all right, NBA's done, and now it's baseball for like 3 months until football. Like, hang me at that point right now, but don't mind it here. Sitting back and enjoying it. But Philadelphia, we cherish moments like this, Kevin. In basketball, we don't win championships. We don't even make it through the second round. But we love ourselves some ping pong balls, and it's finally back. And for the NBA, when looking at like the odds to get the number 1 overall pick, they get it right. Like the NFL, I don't think you could change because it's a short season. And all right, the NFL is like, yeah, if you're a bad team, you need a quarterback. Quarterbacks get drafted 1, we'll give you that. And if you're willing to tank it, so be it. I like how the NBA is like, yeah, you can tank and you'll improve your draft position, but you don't automatically get Cooper Flagg in this draft if you win 3 games because that was your goal. I love the fact that there is a chance that you can tank and wind up with the 6th overall pick. It's like, hey, served you right. You're in the same grouping. But at the same time, like you're still going to get decent teams per se with a legitimate chance to actually get that number 1. The added intrigue is phenomenal. Like, it's not like, Kevin, the top 3 teams, they can only get the 1 pick. And if it goes through there, then the next one is for 2 and 3. And then you get to the rest of the draft. Like, you can roll up in there like a top 10 pick, 9 or 10. Like, hey, you know what? I might be able to get lucky and get this thing. Not really. Like, the NFL doesn't do that.
No, it doesn't. But see, I don't know. That's why I'm torn on it. Because I think it leads to more tanking, though, right? Like the Sixers completely ripped the bottom out of the floor on their season because they were like, well,
circumstances for them for that 6th spot, though.
But my point is, Donnie, if there wasn't a chance of that, right?
I see. Okay. Yep. I got
you know what I mean? I think that might have changed it a little bit. But I also think it's how then you get some teams who are just bad forever, it feels like, because they just, it's like, I can't get the 1st pick. I keep getting the 3rd pick, like, and I just keep striking out. And it's driving me nuts. Like, there's just somehow nothing I can do to actually get the right player here inside, these walls, inside this building. Like, I'm on an island with this one. So my main Cooper Flagg interest is him going to the Eastern Conference because, like, Giannis is apparently going to go from the East to the West this year. Like, it's crazy. But if I could pick a team, I really want him to go to Washington. I like the other pieces they have. He gets to be his superstar self. We get to watch. Like, I truly, Donnie, you're a Sixer fan. You should be exclusively rooting for him to go to Philadelphia. Yes. I don't want to see him on the Sixers. I'm not interested at the idea of him on the Sixers. That's him coming in as like the Tobias Harris, like souped up version. No, is Paul George going to get traded then in the offseason?
You can afford to sit him down. Like, because the funny part about the NBA is like you get that as like automatically added inside your salary cap. So it's like, oh yeah, we can play Paul George less because we just got the number 1 overall pick at this point. Because you're not number 1 overall pick is typically going to a team that's horrendous with tons of cap space and you grow together. Like, he's coming back on a team that legitimately had championship hopes, saw what Embiid's knee was, and threw it all away. But again, like Daryl Morey has made the rounds here in Philadelphia, talking about like the season. Found now that's over. And like, I want to like call up and like talk to him like, Daryl, like, I don't think you did a very good job, but when you understood what needed to happen the final 25 games, like the entire Sixers organization was not half-assing it. They're like, we have to get under that 6th pick here to make sure Oklahoma City doesn't steal it, because then the tank was completely irrelevant. And then let's like OKC gets a top 6 pick, you know what I mean? Top 7 pick. And you just add another quality player to that team, which, hear me out on this one, too. As we're talking ping pong balls, Sixers and who gets it. We'll find out tonight. But does Giannis have a chance to go to OKC?
Yeah, he does. Especially if they lose to Denver. Especially if they lose this round.
Like, who's in? Chet Holmgren, 6 number 1s? Like, what else? What do we got?
But that's the thing, right? Like, Donnie, I think you could almost guarantee he goes to the Thunder if they lose this round.
Yeah.
Because no one's beating the Thunder offer. They don't have to put Shea on the table. They have, I think Chet or Jalen Williams are more valuable than anything Houston's going to be willing to part ways with, or the Spurs for that matter. So, like that, the Thunder could get Giannis no matter what. It's just this idea of like, we're good, we're young and ready, and we can win without him.
Yeah. Like, I thought that was an unbelievable spot. Like, and it would fit too. Like, you move Chet Holmgren off that team, throw Giannis in there with SGA and what they can do, man. Whew, good times in the NBA. Ping pong balls tonight. Nick in the Garden. Nothing better. Kevin Walsh, Donnie right side, Moneyline, JP behind the wheels of steel. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
actionable insights, analysis, odds, and expert perspective on sports gaming. If we do
7 to knot that series up at 2-2, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Nikola Jokic with 27 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 steals for Denver. Game 5 in Oklahoma City on Tuesday night. Tonight, Celtics and Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Game 4, New York up 2-1 in the series. The Warriors host the Timberwolves in San Francisco for Game 4, Minnesota up 2-1. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Member Week is here at Lowe's. Don't miss your chance to get up to 40% off hundreds of items like paint, outdoor and home essentials, and more. Shop our exclusive deals happening in-store and online now through May 14th. Not a rewards member? Join for free today and get ready to save more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
If you want to be an alpha, you've got to get the winning edge. It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory with the winning edge. You're in the big leagues. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Off and running in today's edition of Football Full Circle right here on the Sports Grid Radio Network. Sirius Channel 159, Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens talking NFL, a new week for the NFL. We were talking last week about divisional and conference odds. This week, we start with the week 1 matchups on FanDuel. We have Philadelphia 6.5-point favorites over the Dallas Cowboys. What does that mean potentially for the Eagles and the revamped Dallas Cowboys? Dallas now does have George Pickens in the lineup. They have CD Lamb. What does that mean in regards to Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys in terms of win totals? We'll see. I mean, I think when you look at it, and we'll talk to Ben when he comes back, when you look at Dallas and you look at the optimism surrounding the Dallas Cowboys this year, you have to look at the 7.5 win total. Schottenheimer and this offense, we know that they can score points. But the problem, and this will be the problem for Dallas big picture, can they stop anybody? That defense, for the most part, broke down throughout the regular season, especially in run support. They cannot stop better teams against the run. You look at the week 2 matchup against Baltimore, Derrick Henry, he abused them. Lamar Jackson as well. When they faced better teams in the conference, better teams in the AFC and NFC, that front 7 broke down. What does Micah Parsons, what does the front 7 bring in terms of 2025 will ultimately dictate whether the Dallas Cowboys are an NFC contender. When you look at the matchup, divisional opponent for Philadelphia and Dallas, 6.5 points is a huge spread when you look at it. These teams ultimately a rivalry game. Both of these teams will look to score points. We know that Philadelphia, not just the best team in the NFC entering 2025, but the best team potentially in the NFL. They have the best odds to potentially win back-to-back Super Bowl championships. The front 7 led by Jalen Carter, and that dominant front 7 could put pressure on Dak Prescott. What does the offense look like now with George Pickens in that lineup? CD Lamb most likely will still be double-teamed for that offense. Can that open up potentially George Pickens and potentially the tight ends? Only time will tell. There's a lot of pressure right now on Schottenheimer and Dallas to over-exceed expectations and get past where Mike McCarthy got this ball club just a couple of seasons ago in the first round. They got abused by Jordan Love and got abused by Green Bay in terms of that playoff matchup. What does this year bring in terms of the Dallas Cowboys in terms of success? they don't get to the playoffs this year, in my opinion, Schottenheimer could be a one and done. And more importantly, Jerry Jones might have to blow up the team, Ben.
Yeah, they might have to do that, Joe, but at least it will be a marquee matchup for the Cowboys to begin their 2025 campaign, as you were alluding to. That is game number 1 of 272 in the 2025 NFL regular season. It is schedule release week all around the National Football League, bit by bit, leading up to the full unveiling of the entirety of the schedule for all 32 NFL clubs on Wednesday night. We are going to get some of those marquee games throughout the 2025 season, including bright and early on this Monday morning, the release of what that season debut game is going to be. The Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champs in Philadelphia, hosting their bitter and divisional rivals in the Dallas Cowboys. And Lacey, I heard you breaking down the 6.5-point spread. Early total is opened at 46.5 for the first regular season game of this year. 115 days away exactly on Thursday, September 4th. 2025. And you were alluding to what it means for both sides. We'll get to the reigning Super Bowl champs and the Super Bowl favorites to go back-to-back in the Birds in just a moment. I do think it is an indication of the lack of optimism, at least based on Dallas standards, the Cowboys have entering 2025. A Cowboys team with a win total of only 7.5, and a Cowboys team with a full offseason of preparation ready for that Week 1 debut, nearly a touchdown underdog against their bitter foe in the reigning Super Bowl champs. I think that 6.5-point spread, Joe, tells us a lot about what the Cowboys are hoping to do in 2025 from the odds perspective. And it's not a surefire conference contender. It's not even a surefire playoff team. Heck, it's not even a surefire team above 500 with the win total sitting at 7.5.
It's not, and when you look at the Week 1 matchup, Philadelphia and the Link are going to be a dynamic atmosphere, coming off a Super Bowl, hometown crowd, and obviously knowing how Philadelphia abused Dallas in their basically Week 16 matchup. Even though it was backups, Dallas didn't have an answer for Saquon Barkley and the rushing attack, and that's still the main concern for Dallas, and not just in this matchup, but just throughout the regular season. Can they shut down the run? And can that defense maybe elevate to potentially a top 15 unit? If they're a top 15 defense, Dallas, let's just say, they bounce back into form, there's no doubt they could be an 8, 9, or 10-win football team with Dak Prescott. And obviously now having George Pickens. They could put up 40 points per game, Ben. But that defense is nowhere near where Philadelphia is entering this season. And that's why you're seeing a significant deficit as it relates to the Week 1 matchup. Right now, if I had a look and you forced me to bet this game, I would lay it with the Eagles at home.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. Adam Schefter reporting on this. The Super Bowl champs have opened up the NFL season the following year now 20 times since 2004. And the reigning Super Bowl champs have won 15 of those 20 games outright. If the Eagles are going to win this one as the reigning Super Bowl champs, can it be by at least a touchdown? That's what the odds makers are anticipating. It will be fascinating, Joe, to see what that Dallas defense does and to see ultimately at some stage of this offseason into the summer months, either before training camp or during training camp and preseason affairs, if/when Micah Parsons gets the large contract extension we are all expecting him to. But Jerry Jones, although things can be very obvious and clear, often takes his time with those big contract deals and the extensions. Joe, the first offseason bet I made this year in the NFL was on the Dallas Cowboys over that win total of 7.5. When I bet it, it was even money plus 100 to the over. Now a little bit more juice on that over at minus 135. Basically with the idea being that I understand Brian Schottenheimer is a first-time head coach. Do not love the hire. Don't think very highly of it. But if Dak Prescott, who was paid last offseason, is healthy, the Cowboys are a good regular season team. Dak has been in the league now for 9 years. He has played double-digit games, at least 12 games in 7 of those 9 seasons. Not last season, not in 2020. In all 7 years, Joe, that Prescott has started and played in at least 12 games, the Cowboys as a team have won at least 9. So I have some wiggle room in that experience and understanding that oftentimes it has been the Cowboys in 5 of those 7 years, or at least 8, in all 7. In 5 of the 7, double-digit wins as well. And we can joke about the Mike McCarthy era, the 5 seasons in Dallas at Big D, but in the bookends of that 5-year stint, his first in 2020, last year in 2024, those 2 times in Dak's career, he has not played at least 12 games, and that's when the Cowboys won only 6 games, 6 in 2020, 7 last year. In the 3 years in between for McCarthy, 12 regular season wins, 2 divisional crowns in the NFC East. And Joe, I'm willing to bet on the Cowboys win total to the over. I would never bet your money, my worst enemy's money on the Cowboys winning the NFC or contending for a Super Bowl.
Right. So you mentioned it. If Dak Prescott is healthy, they have a great shot to be an above 500 football team, right? That, we know that when Dak is in there, he can put up numbers. We saw, and we talked about it last week, 4,000 and 4,500-yard passers. Dak Prescott has good potential as long as he's healthy and plays 16, 17 games to eclipse that total. But again, what does the defense give you? You can't just be relegated to outscoring teams each and every Sunday. That defense needs to take the next step, and we'll see if they can do it. But if Dak's healthy, 7.5 is doable for the win total.
Yeah, at least just regular season success. Anything beyond in the playoffs, completely different story in Big D. More on Football Full Circle next.
4 out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. And we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin. He just gives that vibe. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Wendy's. At least 10 people in the U.S. have been sickened in a listeria outbreak linked to ready-to-eat food products, and a producer is voluntarily recalling several products. The FDA said Saturday that federal, state, and local officials are investigating the outbreak linked to foods produced by Fresh and Ready Foods of San Fernando, California. The FDA says the 10 people who fell ill were in California and Nevada and required hospitalization. Columbia University has suspended dozens of students and Bard alums and others who participated in a pro-Palestinian demonstration inside the school's main library last week. The Ivy League institution in Manhattan placed more than 65 students on interim suspension and barred 33 others, including those from affiliated institutions such as Barnard College, from setting foot on campus. The university declined to say how long the disciplinary measure would be in place, saying only that the decisions are pending further investigation. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the lake or clean out your closet? RV wins! Putting the dishes away or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Cleaning the fridge or taking a trip to the beach? RV wins!
You might want to clean the fridge real quick because, mold.
We clean out the fridge, then take the RV out.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states and situations.
There's something you should know and always remember. SportsGrid does not increase luck. We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck, go find a horseshoe. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. It is schedule release week in the National Football League, a televised event on Wednesday evening for all 32 NFL teams, knowing the entirety of their schedule. Yes, we already know the opponent, but when exactly that game is going to be played, what week, what date, what time, we'll have all of that information by Wednesday evening. In the days leading up to it, we will have the NFL TV partners start to announce their marquee matchups and when exactly those are taking place and what exactly the game is going to be in that television window. We will also have schedule leaks and reports and all that good stuff to cipher through here this week on Football Full Circle. Lisi, we know the season debut is at the home of the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles as inside Lincoln Financial Field, the Birds will host the boys in an old-school NFC East rivalry on Thursday, September 4th, for the NFL season debut in 2025. As we have shared, the Birds a 6.5-point favorite, total 46.5. Philadelphia, Joe, more than likely. Odds can shift throughout the remainder of this offseason, but more than likely, the Eagles will begin 2025 as the Super Bowl favorites to go back-to-back in both Super Bowl 59 and Super Bowl 60 out in Santa Clara, California. Do you believe, or maybe it's in Las Vegas, I'll confirm, but do you believe the Eagles deserve to be that Super Bowl favorite entering this upcoming 2025 season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I told you this, that if they put a market up for a three-peat potentially now to tie it up for 2 years, I still think the Eagles, I would make that bet because I think they have that much of a solid foundation offensively with Jalen Hurts and the young wide receivers and Saquon Barkley and that defense. And I honestly believe that Nick Sirianni, as a head coach, even though he had some potential ups and downs a couple of years ago with the new OC in DC, he's been a very good coach against elite competition, and all they do is win. So, yeah, at 7-1, I think I've made that bet already. I've made the bet at plus 3.25 for them to win the NFC Championship this year. I think, barring any major injuries to key performers, they should be right there heading to an NFC Championship appearance. Whether they win it or not, that's a different story, but everything is on track for this team to succeed, and they are the team to beat entering week number 1.
And there are some lines of delineation, Joe, certainly in the NFC for a Birds team, of course, that has won the NFC 2 of the previous 3 seasons. Philadelphia right now, as we literally were just talking about it, the odds have moved for the Super Bowl prices. The Birds now 7-1. The Ravens and the Bills tied for that second best price at plus 750, $1 in front of the Chiefs at plus 850, the Lions plus 950, and then basically you have to double Detroit's price to get to the LA Rams at an 18-1 number, third best price for a team out of the NFC. It is very tightly compact, Joe, at the top of the AFC, which still stuns me. I know the Chiefs lost to the Eagles in disappointing and humiliating fashion in Super Bowl 59. Kansas City at least won the AFC once again, and yet they are not booked as the favorites behind the Ravens and the Bills, who are both plus 360, co-favorites, a $0.50 in front of KC. Philadelphia has a $1.50 lead on Detroit, plus 330 for the Eagles, plus 480 for the Lions in the NFC, and the Rams are the only other team with a 3-digit price at 9-1. All to say, Philadelphia has a little bit more gap in its advantage in the NFC than the tightly compacted AFC and that trio that we expect, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs.
Yeah, I think when you see that breakdown, right, the NFC East, right, Dallas, what are you going to get out of them? New York, dead and buried, and the only team that basically, could compete, at least on paper right now, is Washington, and we don't know if they take a major step back or a little bit of regression, knowing that they overexceeded last year. On the flip side, when you look at Kansas City, well, what has changed this year potentially as opposed to years past? Well, Denver has their, quarterback of the future with Bo Nix and Sean Payton elevated to a playoff appearance. LA with Jim Harbaugh, the same thing, Herbert, and knowing what they were able to do. And now it's going to be very difficult for Kansas City to just walk through the division, right? They were pushed to the limit by both of those teams and won 2-point games against the Chargers and Denver, respectively, at home. Not going to be easy this year. So there's the potential for Kansas City to maybe not dominate the division. And there you go. Maybe they're on the outside looking into the Baltimore Ravens. I still would bet on potentially Kansas City because they've done it year after year. And as long as Mahomes is healthy, they have as good a shot as anybody. But this might be the year where maybe they come back to the pack as a 10 or an 11-win football team.
Yeah, might be the year. We just have not seen it be the year as long as Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback in Kansas City. At least 11 wins in all 7 of those seasons, 12 plus, including 15 a year ago in 6 of those 7. Win total for the Chiefs, by the way, 11.5 in the under, has the pretty hefty juice at minus 140 in a Chiefs team that even prior to Patrick Mahomes and still under the guidance of Andy Reid has dominated this division in the AFC West, winning it 9 consecutive years. I understand the idea of a fall off, and the Chiefs will enter this year for the first time since 2023, not as the reigning, or excuse me, for the first time since 2022, not as the reigning Super Bowl champions. They still won the AFC for a third consecutive year a season ago. I just think it's a little bit crazy to have two teams in front of them in the AFC championship races. Not saying that Kansas City will win the AFC crown once again, but in the preseason and the offseason, to have teams with better odds to do so when they have zero pedigree of ever getting past Kansas City kind of baffles the mind. The Chiefs are not necessarily an underdog, but I do find those odds interesting. Joe, two more TV networks are going to release a marquee game or a couple of marquee games with a schedule announcement on this Monday. That will be Amazon Prime Video and Fox. For Fox, we can expect maybe some Thanksgiving games, a couple of America's Game of the Week, some of those big ones. Prime Video is going to broadcast that Friday night opener in Sao Paulo on Friday, September 5th. The Brazilian opener, and all indications, Joe, is going to be the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Interesting matchup, right? They went right down to the wire in Arrowhead last year, and week one last year was a nail-biter. See if 2025 can live up to expectations.
Would be a good game over there for the Brazilian opener when that is confirmed. Of course, we let you know on FFC. More here on the Sports Grid Radio Network up next.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. The Sports Grid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1970, Ernie Banks hits home run number 500.
That's a fly ball, beat the left, back, that's it, hey, he did it!
Known as Mr. Cub, Banks finished his career with 512 dingers during his 19 years on the north side of Chicago. Banks won 2 MVP awards and was elected to the Hall of Fame. For Sports Grid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Flying construction robots, coming soon to a building site near you. Swiss researchers have found that precision flying construction robot drones, similar technology to that used to create those beautiful synchronized aerial displays, can be used to precisely position large objects, assisting construction workers at great heights. Synchronized drone swarms autonomously constructing entire buildings in remote locations, hazardous conditions, even cutting down on construction accidents. Ouch. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage tonight.
What do you think about the Cavs and the Pacers right now? The Cavs got injury problems. The Pacers are up 2-0. We might be looking at a Pacers-Knicks conference final, bro.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Okay, shades of Dale Davis and
Reggie
Rich
Miller
Smith.
and, oh, yeah, old school.
I'm rooting for the Pacers right now.
It's Sports Rage tonight with Gabe Morency. Weekdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the Sports Grid Radio Network. There comes a point when the chips are down.
To coin a phrase.
When the only thing you can do is stop and wait. Do you want to face that moment prepared?
Or rely on luck.
Get the winning edge. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle. Again, it is schedule release week around the NFL. Any news that we have today, tomorrow, Wednesday, certainly reacting to everything. All 32 NFL teams doing the entirety of their 18-week schedule in the National Football League for 2025. We will bring that to you. But of course, Joe, some big news bright and early to start off the weekend on Saturday morning. Kind of out of nowhere, a stunning development. Derek Carr announced his retirement from the National Football League after 11 seasons, the previous 2 in New Orleans. I say kind of stunning and kind of out of nowhere is because throughout most of this offseason, the conversation around Derek Carr and his future in New Orleans was around his right throwing shoulder. in an injury that was lingering on him after only playing 10 games last year in 2024, but it wasn't because of the shoulder injury that he missed any time a season ago. As it was shared in the statement announcing his retirement from the NFL, through training, through throwing, there was some degenerative issue with his rotator cuff in his right throwing shoulder, making his future as a quarterback, of course, having to throw the football first and foremost, very uncertain and up in the air. So after 11 years in the National Football League, Derek Carr calls it a career, Joe, leaving the New Orleans Saints with plenty of questions for their future moving forward in the Big Easy.
Yeah, and this could be one of the best bets in terms of the offseason selling. If you get a potential worse record in the NFL, it might be the New Orleans Saints. We know that entering this year, even with Derek Carr at the helm, major question marks from an offensive perspective, running back, Kamara, and all those wide receivers, especially Chris Olave. Can he make it through a regular season without being injured, right? And now you add in the fact that the veteran quarterback is no longer there, and that you have Kellen Moore, a first-year head coach, that's going to have to coach up either Jake Haener, Spencer Rattler, or now Tyler Shuck. Very inexperienced quarterbacks. This is not easy. And even though they're in a winnable division, an offensive mind, we know that Dennis Allen let the rope slip with the defense last year. This team is in disarray, and they're in a major rebuild. They're potentially in the perfect spot to get either Garrett Nussmeier, the local kid, or Arch Manning, number one overall. If I had to make a bet right now, they're under their win total, and I'd take them for the worst record in the NFL.
Yeah, it's a really good look, Lisi Guy, and we'll explain why in just a moment. In terms of the two guys that you alluded to, we have two of the best prices to be that first overall pick in 2026. I mean, the narrative time, both guys to this franchise is pretty crazy. Plus 240 on Arch to go first overall, plus 360 on Garrett Nussmeier, second best price. Currently, Nussmeier's father is the offensive coordinator in New Orleans under Kellen Moore. They work together, of course, that being Doug Nussmeier and Kellen Moore on the offensive staff in Philadelphia. They've got a lot of ties together. They work together in Dallas and in LA with the Chargers prior to that. Historically, the ties for Arch Manning to follow his grandfather in Archie in play in the boot down there in the Bayou for New Orleans. Now, that would be something as well. That's the future. We'll talk about how the Saints can get there in just a moment. I do want to take a moment, though, Joe, to reflect on the 11 seasons for Derek Carr in the National Football League. Early second-round pick by the Oakland Raiders at the time. Spent 11 years in the NFL, the first 9 of his career with that Raiders franchise, the previous 2 seasons in New Orleans. Never had the playoff success. Never, of course, made it to a conference championship or anything of the sort. But the guy was always out there, played double-digit games in every one of his 11 NFL seasons. Last year in 2024, because of the left hand injury in the groin injury, he missed 7 games, only playing 10. That was the fewest of any of his seasons in the National Football League. The previous 10, at least 15 games. Of course, an unceremonious end in Las Vegas with the Raiders. In the season back in 2022, they traded for Davante Adams, the reunion of the 2 former college buddies and teammates, only to ship Derek Carr or run him out of town by the end of week number 16. He spent the first 9 years of his career with the Raiders, was a 4-time Pro Bowler, including that final season in Las Vegas, in 3 of the first 4 years of his career in Oakland.
Yeah, I mean, you look back to Derek Carr's career, even at Fresno State with Davante Adams and their former head coach, Pat Hill, elevated their time out in the Mountain West Conference. And you look at his pro career, I mean, the biggest game that stands out is when they almost knocked off Joe Burrow in the first round of the playoffs a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And the Raiders, for many years prior to Derek Carr, were not having that playoff success either. Plenty more on FFC, including where this leaves the Saints next.
The winning edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. NASCAR Cup Series Sunday at the Kansas Speedway. Kyle Larson took the checkered flag. He started on the pole and led for 221 laps. Chris Bell ran second. Ryan Blaney third. Stanley Cup playoff Sunday. The Stars beat the Jets 5-2. Dallas scored 3 times in the third period to seal the win. Mikko Rantanen had a goal and 2 assists. Dallas up 2-1 in the series. Game 4 is Tuesday night in Dallas. The Panthers shut out the Maple Leafs 2-0. 23 saves for Sergei Bobrovsky. Carter Verhaeghe scored on the power play late in the first period. That was the only goal that Florida needed. Sam Bennett added one in the third. The defending Stanley Cup champs able to knot the series at 2-2. Game 5 in Toronto on Wednesday night. Tonight, Capitals at Hurricanes. Carolina up 2-1. Edmonton home tonight against Vegas. The Golden Knights trail the series 2-1. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Find what you love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
You're listening to SportsGrid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. So Derek Carr calls it a career after 11 seasons in the National Football League, the previous 2 in New Orleans. Joe, when he left the Las Vegas Raiders, because the Raiders ran him out of town, and he signed with the Saints in the 2023 offseason, New Orleans quickly became the odds-on favorite, the front-runner to win the NFC South, a weaker division. They never did with Derek Carr, and now he leaves New Orleans after 2 years. Listen, there was a lot of conversation about his status in the Big Easy moving forward under new coaching staffs in Kellen Moore. And of course, because of the shoulder issue, his status for 2025 was very uncertain even before he has now announced his retirement. So the Saints will enter 2025 in a wildly new direction. Rookie head coach in Kellen Moore, and more than likely a rookie starting quarterback. Joe, the odds are out on FanDuel Canada for who is going to be that week 1 starter for the Saints. And the second-round pick, 40th overall, who will turn 26 only a few weeks after maybe making his NFL debut. Tyler Shuck, the rookie out of Louisville, is more than likely to be a New Orleans week 1 starter.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why Tyler Shuck shouldn't be under center week number 1. But if I had to make that bet, I'd take a shot on Rat. You know, I think Rat's got a pretty good shot to potentially, having the game experience. Maybe Kellen Moore could get the best out of him. I know Tyler Shuck was drafted to potentially be that guy. And you had to know that New Orleans, did the right thing. If you look at the draft, they made the proper move in terms of acquiring Tyler Shuck to potentially be as a fail-safe for Derek Carr, and it worked out perfectly in that regard. But if you're looking to build for the future, you start Tyler Shuck week 1 and just roll with the growing pains. There's no reason to not, and if he leads you to potentially a wild card, great. That'll hurt you in 26, but you might have a Bo Nix type of situation. It's similar in terms of age. I'm just saying, if he leads you to a wild card appearance, you might catch lightning in a bottle. There's no reason not to start Tyler Shuck, ready or not. Throw him to the Wolves, baby.
And now he has a full off season, right? After being drafted early in the second round, not wondering if he's in a quarterback battle with the veteran Derek Carr. Does Carr have the benefit of the doubt? Is he starting from in front of Tyler Shuck? Now it's Shuck's team. You might say, what about Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener? Each still in the QB room in the Big Easy, each starting at least one game a season ago. No, it's got to be Tyler Shuck, and that's why New Orleans made the move when they did. Minus 186 should be minus 1086, at least for Shuck to be the starter. Now, are Joe and I expecting Shuck to follow the Bo Nix route? I'm not. Bo Nix was the 12th overall pick, and we understood his college experience. Shuck was around for a long time, 7 years, starting at Oregon. Bo Nix then went there, then to Texas Tech, and then finally the previous 2 years at Louisville. I understand the comparisons, right? So much experience collegiately, a little bit older. Joe, you have made the argument you're not sure why age is a hindrance for a lot of these GMs and front offices in terms of drafting a quarterback. I'm not saying it's a hindrance. I'm just saying because the guy is going to be 26 by week 3 doesn't mean he is going to follow the successful Bo Nix route. In fact, I don't think it is going to be overly successful. And Joe, to that point, the Saints win total when this market opened up about a month and a half ago, earlier this offseason, was 7.5. The under had the juice. With some of the status uncertainty around Derek Carr entering the NFL draft, that win total dropped to 6.5. Now, after the Derek Carr announcement that he is retiring, it's a 5.5 win total for the Saints, minus 110, the juice on either side. It feels rather fitting. And Joe, the Saints now become one of 5 teams around the NFL, along with the Giants, Browns, Jets, and Titans, that have that win total at 5.5.
Yeah, I mean, again, when you think about, just optimism and you think about what New Orleans has skill-wise, they are up against it. And even though they're in a winnable division, you look at Atlanta, you look at Carolina on the upswing, and obviously Tampa Bay that has won the division for 4 straight years, and you say this team is at a significant disadvantage now. And you're right. I'm not suggesting that, because of Tyler Shuck, he's going to have the same type of progression and trajectory as Bo Nix. I'm just saying if any quarterback could get it, you would hope to grasp the pressure and grasp the playbook. A 26, 27-year-old quarterback that has, been to multiple programs should be able to handle that entering year number 1. But again, is his ability anywhere near where Bo Nix was last year or two, coming out of Oregon? I don't think so. And that's the problem. He's a mobile guy to a degree, and you could utilize him in terms of the RPO game a little bit, but Tyler Shuck has struggled at times with turnovers, and playing in the NFL, that's the main concern. Yeah. They have no rushing attack. It's running back by committee. I'm selling. They might be lucky, Ben, to have 2 or 3 wins this year.
And Joe, it's really interesting as well because when you think about a worst regular season record bet, the odds not out on FanDuel, as I cannot find them at this moment. But the Giants and the Browns, who both have the juice on the under of the 5.5 at minus 140, probably going to have a shorter price. You don't really want to call it a better price to be the worst, but a shorter price, a more likely price to have a terrible regular season record, ever so slightly than that of the Saints. But I think there's some optimism for the Giants, at least a good draft. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and then maybe Jackson Dart. For the Browns, I'm not sure optimism is the right word, but we've known this is going to be the case. This is a seismic shift for New Orleans. And another seismic shift that needs to happen for the Saints, I would say, is there a team, Joe, that has been in cap hell, cap purgatory, no financial flexibility the last 3, 4, 5 seasons around the NFL? Derek Carr retiring does free up a little bit of space, but he's still going to have a pretty hefty cap hit in 2025. Beyond that, that's where you have some of that financial freedom. And you would think if you're Mickey Loomis, longtime GM, calling the shots there in the front office for this Saints franchise, this is really a reset. Hey, we've got a rookie head coach. We're going to start a rookie quarterback more than likely from week number 1. We spent a second-round pick on him, but if we are going to be drafting near the top of the 2026 NFL draft again, for all of the ties, Joe, that we alluded to, for Arch Manning and Garrett Nussmeier, the Saints are now certainly in the running for being that worst team and having a chance to draft first overall next April.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mickey Loomis has done a terrible job during his tenure, in New Orleans.
Yeah.
He might have pictures on somebody. That's the only reason why he keeps his job. It's amazing how Mickey, year after year, just makes terrible decisions for the organization and sets them back. And again, the team and strength of this team was their defense. But it started last year. They're aging, and you have a terrible bottom third defense with an offense that can't even score more than potentially 17 or 20 points in a game. Good luck on getting that win total, especially with inexperienced quarterback play. It would be a miracle if they get over that this year.
Mickey Loomis has been the GM in New Orleans for over 20 years, since 2002. There are a lot of GMs that have a much shorter leash than this. Yes, the Saints won a Super Bowl under his purview. Yes, there were glory days with Sean Payton and Drew Brees. But in the last 8 years, last 5 years, for a GM to keep his job with the track record we have seen, especially from the organizational building standpoint, pictures might be something, Joe, indeed, when it comes to Mickey Loomis. We'll never know, frankly, but a lot for this organization to figure out now this offseason, as Derek Carr has announced his retirement. Tyler Shuck, the second-round draft pick, more than likely going to be the starting quarterback for the Saints in 2025. And 5.5 now the win total for New Orleans, a plus 700 number for the Saints to be a playoff team in the NFC. Not great. I know the Saints fans are kind of happy that Derek Carr is no longer their signal caller. I think by week 9, week 10, it's not going to be an overly optimistic picture in the Big Easy. Plenty more to come on Football Full Circle up next.
We're not saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie. Just saying. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Wendy's. At least 10 people in the U.S. have been sickened in a listeria outbreak linked to ready-to-eat food products, and a producer is voluntarily recalling several products. The FDA said Saturday that federal, state, and local officials are investigating the outbreak linked to foods produced by Fresh and Ready Foods of San Fernando, California. The FDA says the 10 people who fell ill were in California and Nevada and required hospitalization. Columbia University has suspended dozens of students and Bard alums and others who participated in a pro-Palestinian demonstration inside the school's main library last week. The Ivy League institution in Manhattan placed more than 65 students on interim suspension and barred 33 others, including those from affiliated institutions such as Barnard College, from setting foot on campus. The university declined to say how long the disciplinary measure would be in place, saying only that the decisions are pending further investigation. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist, because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Remember when you were thankful you could just get AM and FM? Things have progressed. Now even an app on your phone can give you a 21st century thrill with that little drop of heaven called the deposit notification. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. We've talked about the NFL schedule release happening this week. No further dates in games at this moment, but we'll have some later today on this Monday for sure to react to on a Tuesday on Football Full Circle. We talked about the shocking news over the weekend, Derek Carr announcing his retirement. Joe, a statement given today from Trey Hendrickson, of course, the edge rusher out of the Cincinnati Bengals, Defensive Player of the Year, runner-up in 2024, leading the NFL in sacks with 17.5, provided this statement to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Of course, he is looking for a new contract this offseason. He has seen his two teammates on the offensive side of the ball, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, sign record-setting deals, and Hendrickson has been waiting for his. Quote, no communication has taken place between my camp and the organization post-draft. The offers prior to the draft did not reflect the vision we shared and were promised last offseason if I continued to play at a high level. Coaches are aware of these past conversations. Rather than using collaboration to get us to a point to bring me home to the team, they, in all caps, they are no longer communicating. I have been eagerly awaiting a resolution of this situation, but that's hard to do when there is no discussion and an evident lack of interest in reaching mutual goals. End quote in the statement released to ESPN by Trey Hendrickson. Does not seem to be an overly optimistic offseason situation, Joe, for Hendrickson and the Bengals. And frankly, I completely understand where Trey is coming from.
Yeah, we talked about this. He was the last domino to fall when the other three, got signed, right? And obviously Burrow was a couple of years ago, and now the two big play wide receivers. And they're content when you have one of the worst defenses in the NFL to say, you know what, we could outscore anybody. They're the one team I think that feels confident, hey, if our defense sucks, we could still win games because we potentially have a top 5 quarterback and a top 5 wide receiver. And, again, that's the mentality. Would Trey Hendrickson elevate that defense and make them better? Obviously, yes. But is he going to make them a top 10 unit? Most likely not. And so they're looking at the risk reward and saying, you know what? We could afford to let him go or not re-sign him. And it's not going to affect us that much as opposed to going from a top 5 offense to potentially, let's say, top 15 or top 12, where it's a significant drop-off because we need the offensive players more.
Sure, right? But you need some defensive players out there, and Trey Hendrickson is one of the best. There was also some conversation when it became pretty clear that Hendrickson was not going to receive the new contract extension that he hoped for early in the offseason, that he wanted to be traded. And yet Cincinnati has not really welcomed in a lot of trade offers to deal Hendrickson. And now following the NFL draft, Joe, this is where things get quiet. It would be a blockbuster kind of out of nowhere if and when in the end of May we find out that Trey Hendrickson has been dealt. Of course, Jamar Chase signing a large deal, 4-year, $161 million extension. That's $40.25 a season. Highest paid player, non-quarterback in NFL history. T. Higgins signed a 4-year, $115 million deal, $28.8 million, making him the 9th highest paid receiver in the National Football League, highest paid 1A or second wideout for a team. A lot of investment from the Bengals offensively, very little defensively. And Joe, we saw that be the case for Cincinnati. Well, you're right. With Trey Hendrickson out there, last year they were garbage on the defensive side of the ball. But to me, that's even further evidence that they need to sign Trey Hendrickson and try to build around him, because the Bengals offensively were sensational. Joe Burrow putting up runaway MVP numbers, had his team finished in the postseason and not 9-8. They were putting up offensive number after offensive number and still losing games they had no business losing. That doesn't really change this offseason if this is where things stand. And if your new Bengals DC, Al Golden, after leading Notre Dame to the national championship game a season ago, you're also probably getting mad at the front office like Trey Hendrickson saying, where are my defensive guys?
Let me ask you this, okay? Is this a similar situation to Buffalo last year, where Buffalo still made an AFC championship run? They got rid of a bunch of older talent that, wasn't elevating and playing potentially at an all-pro level, and everybody thought they'd take a step back, and all of a sudden they played again in an AFC championship game, and you say to yourself, you know what? Hey, they did it with lesser parts. And I'm not suggesting that Trey Hendrickson was playing down. He led the NFL in sacks. but knowing that, hey, we could potentially not sign this guy and still maybe make a run, and we might do it at a cheaper cost to get other players in. And with Golden there, maybe it is a scheme thing. Maybe saying, hey, our defense sucked, and it was an old type of scheme with a fresh outlook. Maybe he can elevate them. Ben, they don't have to be top 10. They just have to be top 20. They can't be as bad as they were last year. Well, I don't know.
See, I think they are on track to be even worse than they were a season ago. I hear the point, Joe, in comparison. Are we overlooking Cincinnati based on a perceived gap or a perceived hole of talent on one side of the football? Buffalo was very different, though, right? They had all-pro veteran performers that they kind of let go. And I think most of the concern for the Bills was offensively, a wide receiver room that no longer had Stephon Diggs or Gabe Davis, and they filled it out. I do think, though, Buffalo, their question was not win 12 games, win the AFC East. It was get past the Chiefs, and what did we see? That exact result. So to your point, can the Bengals score 42 points a game and win 9 or 10 of them, maybe even being a playoff team? Sure, they've got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. Can they do that in contend for an AFC championship? I would say absolutely not. And that is where I think the reality comes into it for the Bengals. Because in Joe Burrow's 3 full healthy seasons now, 1 year was last year, 9-8 missing out on the postseason. The 2 previous was an AFC championship appearance. I think that is now the standard of success in Cincinnati. And an 11-win season and a playoff berth is fine. It's not what you paid all these millions of dollars to do just to be a playoff team. We'll continue that conversation on the other side of the break here on Sports Grid Radio. It's FFC.
Luck is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the tickets. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and Sirius XM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi. Then boils over with Gabe Morency on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find Sports Grid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. It's stark but true. You can either listen to SportsGrid for strategies, odds, and more, or you can pay your bills by digging in your couch cushions for change. Just be sure to wear gloves. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. He is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. Joe, if the Bengals do not re-sign Trey Hendrickson this offseason, I think they could get over their win total of 9.5. The over has the juice at -125. I think they could be a playoff team from the difficult AFC North and in the AFC as a whole. I do not believe the Bengals will go anything further than the wild card or at best divisional round, because that is the difference, I think, of having an elite offense, but at least having a stable defense, and that is not what Cincinnati has at this moment, at least in all of the offseason changes we have seen in the lack of re-signing Trey Hendrickson.
Well, let's say let's make it worse scenario. Let's say Trey Hendrickson's not there, right? You're making the 9.5 win total, okay? Whether they can get it over that. I'll pose a different question. Can they win one of two games in the month of September to start the year? Could they start 1-1 at worst, as opposed to 0-2 that they have the past three seasons? You know, can they beat a team that they were 7.5-point favorites against week number 1 in garbage Jacoby Brissett and the New England Patriots? Because if they could do that, then they have a very good chance, whether Hendrickson's there or not, to get over the 9.5 win total. So, you know, if you're betting the Bengals this year, you're betting right now, can this team now, with their signings of Higgins and Chase, be focused enough to come out of the gate and have a hot start as opposed to walking through the motions? If you bet that, they're going to be an 11 or a 12-win football team.
Completely agree, Joe. 2022, 2023, the Bengals started 0-2. In 2022, they rallied to be the champions of the AFC North and, of course, to reach the AFC Championship game. In 2023, they were on track to follow what they had done the season prior before Joe Burrow got injured after 10 games. In 2024, they started 0-3, and now we continue the trend. Only one team since the turn of the millennium has started 0-3 and reached the NFL postseason. That was the Houston Texans, I believe, back in 2017. So just a good start, a 500 start in their first 3-4 games. That would be something. And Joe, it is interesting because I do believe there is value on the Bengals, but I have to see how the defensive situation is resolved. At 10-1, Cincy is the only other team around the AFC in the Patrick Mahomes era to go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs, to knock off Kansas City, even in Arrowhead, in an AFC championship. The Ravens have not, led by Lamar Jackson. The Josh Allen Buffalo Bills certainly have not as well. And with how tightly compacted those trio of teams are, Ravens and Bills, again, as I said earlier in the show, shockingly in front of Kansas City, to have the Bengals back there at a 10-1 price, I do think is value. So if at some point, even if he's not all that happy with how the process played out, Trey Hendrickson is re-signed and given the extension he deserves by the Bengals front office, I'll probably start to buy in on Cincy. Right now, I am hesitant. And that was my issue with how the Bengals went about signing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins after placing the franchise tag on Higgins for a second consecutive year. If you had done this with the financial flexibility and the foresight necessary, Jamar Chase last offseason, T. Higgins last offseason, or even the offseason prior, then you would have had the financial flexibility to pay Trey Hendrickson right here, right now, and probably another stalwart defender to make sure that your defense was anchored and good.
Yeah, so you're saying you're not buying in until you know Hendrickson signed, sealed, and delivered, right? So I'll give you another way to attack it, potentially, if you don't believe they'll sign Trey Hendrickson. Could they make the playoffs? It's possible. We still say they could outscore anybody. To miss the playoffs on FanDuel, it's plus 125. But I think they'll definitely make the playoffs this year, right? So I would bet it as insurance. If they don't win the AFC Championship, have them losing in the divisional or championship round. If you want to go a half a unit, full unit, it's plus 430 to lose in the divisional round, 9-1 to lose in the championship. That's not a bad way to play it.
There are those stage of elimination bets now out on the FanDuel Sportsbook for next season. I do like the look as well, Joe. It's a pretty good plus money prices because of the variability of where they could be in that stage of the postseason or missing out on the playoffs in its entirety. We also have Shamar Stewart, their first-round pick, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M, not doing on-field workouts because the rookie clause for the Bengals is different than other teams. I don't really like the front office or the organization or ownership in Cincinnati. I like their football players. He's Joe Lisi. I'm Ben Stevens. That does it today for Football Full Circle. Show returns tomorrow on SportsGrid Radio, noon Eastern time.
Now you've done it. You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge for short. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.